remember, Adam, it was upon this fashion bequeathed me by will but poor 1,000 crowns, and, as thou say'st, charged my brother on his blessing to breed me well. And there begins my sadness. My brother Jack he keeps at school, and reports speak goldenly of his profit. For my part, he keeps me rustically at home, or, to speak more properly, stays me here at home, unkept. For call you that keeping, for a gentleman of my birth, that differs not from the stalling of an ox? His horses are bred better, for besides that, they are fair with their feeding, they are taught their manage, and to that end riders dearly hired, but I, his brother, gain nothing under him but growth, from the which his animals on his dunghills are as much bound to him as I. Besides this nothing that he so plentifully gives me, the something nature gave me, his countenance seems to take from me. He bars me the place of a brother, and as much as in him lies, minds my gentility with my education. This is it, Adam, that grieves me, and the spirit of my father, which I think is within me, begins to mutiny against this servitude. I will no longer endure it, though yet I know no wise remedy how to avoid it.
Yonder comes my master, your brother.
Go apart, Adam, and thou shalt hear how he will shake me up.
Now, sir, what make you here?
Nothing. I'm not taught to make anything.
What mar you then, sir?
Marry, sir, I am helping you to mar that which God made a poor, unworthy brother of yours with idleness.
Marry, sir. Be better employed, and be not a while.
Shall I keep your hogs and eat husks with them? What prodigal portion have I spent that I should come to such penury?
Know you where you are, sir?
Oh, sir, very well. Here in your orchard.
Know you before whom, sir?
Aye, better than him I am before knows me. I know you are my eldest brother, and in the gentle condition of blood, you should so know me. The courtesy of nations allows you the better in that you were the firstborn, but the same tradition takes not away my blood, were there 20 brothers betwixt us. I have as much of my father in me as you, albeit I confess your coming before me is nearer to his reverence.
What? Boy?
Come, elder brother, you are too young in this.
Wilt thou lay hands on me, villain?
I am no villain. I am the youngest son of Sir Rowland de Boys. He was my father, and he is thrice a villain that says such a father begot villains. Wert thou not my brother, I would not take this hand from thy throat, till the other had pulled out thy tongue for saying so. Thou hast railed on thyself.
Sweet masters, be patient. For your father's remembrance, be at accord.
Let me go, I say!
I will not till I please. You shall hear me. My father charged you in his will to give me good education. You have trained me like a peasant, obscuring and hiding from me all gentlemanlike qualities. The spirit of my father grows strong in me, and I will no longer endure it. Therefore, allow me such exercises as may become a gentleman, or give me the poor lottery my father left me by testament. With that I will go by my fortunes.
And what wilt thou do? Beg, when that is spent? Well, sir, get you in. I'll not long be troubled with you. You will have some part of your will. I pray you leave me.
I will no further offend you than becomes me for my good.
Get you with him, you old dog.
Is old dog my reward? Most true, I have lost my teeth in your service. God be with my old master. He would not have spoke such a word.
Is it even so? Begin you to grow upon me? I will physic your rankness, and yet give no 1,000 crowns neither. Holla, Dennis! Was not Charles the Duke's Dresser here to speak with me? At the door. Send him in. 'Twill be a good way. And tomorrow the wrestling is.
Good morrow to your worship.
Good Monsieur Charles, what's the new news at the new court?
There's no news but the old news. That is, the old Duke was banished by his younger brother, the new Duke, and 3 or 4 loving lords have put themselves into voluntary exile with him, whose lands and revenue enrich the new Duke, and so he gives them good leave to wander.
Can you tell if Rosalind, the Duke's daughter, be banished with her father?
Oh no, for the Duke's daughter, her cousin, so loves her, being ever from their cradle bred together, that she would have followed her exile or have died to stay behind her. She is at the court and no less beloved of her uncle than his own daughter, and never 2 ladies loved as they do.
Where will the old Duke live?
They say he is already in the Forest of Arden, and many merry men with him, and there they live like the old Robin Hood of England. They say many young gentlemen flock to him every day, and fleet the time carelessly, as they did in the Golden World.
What, you wrestle tomorrow, before the new Duke?
Marry do I saw, and I came to acquaint you with the matter. I am given, secretly, to understand that your younger brother Orlando had the disposition to come in disguised against me to try a fall. Tomorrow, sir, I wrestle for my credit, and he that escapes me without some broken limb shall acquit him well. Your brother is but young and tender, and for your love I would be loath to foil him, as I must for my own honour if he come in. Therefore, out of my love to you, I came hither to acquaint you withal, that either you may stay him from his intendment, or brook such disgrace, well as it is a thing he shall run into, in that is a thing of his own search, and altogether against my will.
Charles, I thank thee for thy love to me, which thou shalt find I will most kindly requite. I had myself heard of my brother's purpose herein, and have by underhand means laboured to dissuade him from it. But he is resolute. I'll tell thee, Charles, it is the stubbornest young fellow of France, full of ambition, an envious emulator of every man's good parts, a secret and villainous contriver against me, his natural brother. Therefore, use thy discretion. I had a sleeve thou didst break his neck as his finger, and thou wert best look tooth, for if thou dost him any slight disgrace, or if he do not mightily grace himself upon thee, he will practice against thee by poison, entrap thee by some treacherous device, and he will never leave thee till he hath tamed thy life by some indirect means or other. For I assure thee, and almost with tears I speak it, there is not one so young and so villainous this day living. I speak but brotherly of him, but should I anatomize him to thee as he is, I must blush and weep, and thou must look pale and wonder.
I am heartily glad I came hither to you. If he come tomorrow, I'll give him his payment. If ever he walk alone again, I'll never wrestle for prize more. And so God keep your worship.
Farewell, good Charles. Now will I stir this gamester. I hope I shall see an end of him. For my soul, yet I know not why, hates nothing more than he. He is gentle, never schooled and yet learned, full of noble device, and of all sorts enchantingly beloved, and so much in the heart of the world, and especially of my own people who best know him, that I am altogether misprized. But this shall not be so. This wrestler shall clear all. Nothing remains but that I kindle the boy thither, which now I'll go about.
I pray thee, Rosalind, sweet my cause, be merry.
Dear Celia, I show more mirth than I am mistress of.
Would you yet were merrier?
Unless you could teach me to forget a banished father, you must not learn me how to remember any extraordinary pleasure.
Herein I see thou lovest me not with the full weight that I love thee. If my uncle, thy banished father, had banished thy uncle, the Duke, my father, so thou hast been still with me, I could have taught my love to take thy father for mine. So wouldst thou, if the truth of thy love to me were so righteously tempered as mine is to thee?
Well, I will forget the condition of my estate to rejoice in yours.
You know my father hath no heir but I, nor none is like to have. And truly, when he dies, thou shalt be his heir. For what he has taken away from your father perforce, I will render thee again in affection. By mine honour I will. And when I break that oath, let me turn monster. Therefore, my sweet Rose, my dear Rose, be merry.
From henceforth I will, coz, and devise sports. Let me see, what think you of falling in love?
Marry, I prithee do, to make sport withal, but love no man in good earnest, nor no further in sport neither than with safety of a pure blush thou mayest in honour come off again.
And what shall be our sport then?
Let us sit and mock the good housewife Fortune from her wheel, that her gifts may henceforth be bestowed equally.
I would we could do so, for her benefits are mightily misplaced, and the bountiful blind woman doth most mistake in her gifts to women.
'Tis true, for those that she makes fair, she scarce makes honest, and those that she makes honest, she makes very ill-favouredly.
Nay, now thou goest from Fortune's office to Nature's. Fortune reigns in the gifts of the world, not in the lineaments of nature.
No, hath not? When nature hath made a fair creature, may she not by fortune fall into the fire? Though nature hath given us wit to flout at fortune, had not fortune sent in this fool to cut off the argument?
Indeed, there is fortune too much for nature. When fortune makes nature's natural, the cutter off of nature's wit.
Peradventure, this is not fortune's work neither, but nature, whose perceiving our natural wits too dull to reason of such goddesses, hath sent this natural for our whetstone. For always the dullness of the fool is the whetstone of the wits. How now? Whither wander you? Mistress, you must come away to your father. Were you made the messenger? No, by mine honour, but I was bid to come for you.
Where learned you that oath, fool?
Of a certain knight that swore by his honour they wore good pancakes, and swore by his honour the mustard was not. Now I'll stand to it, the mustard was good and the pancakes were not, yet was not the knight forsworn. How will you prove that in the great heap of your knowledge?
Aye, marry, now
Stand you both forward now, stroke your chins and swear by your beards that I am a knave.
by our beards if we had them, thou art.
By my knavery, if I had them, then I were. But if you swear by that it is not, you are not forsworn. For no more was this knight swearing by his honour, for he never had any. And if he had sworn it away before he ever saw those pancakes, or that mustard. Prithee, who is't that thou mean'st? One that old Ferdinand, your father, loves.
My father's love is enough to honour him. Enough! Speak no more of him. You'll be whipped for taxation one of these days.
The more pity that fools speak wisely what wise men do foolishly. By my troth thou say'st true, for since the little wit that fools have was silenced, the little foolery that wise men have makes a great show. Oh, here comes Monsieur Le Beau,
With his mouth full of news.
which he will put on us as pigeons feed their young.
Then shall we be news crammed.
All the better, we shall be the more marketable. Bonjour, Monsieur Le Beau. What's the news?
Fair princess, you have lost much good sport.
Sport? Of what colour?
What colour, madam? How shall I answer you?
As wit and fortune will.
You amaze me, ladies. I would have told you of good wrestling, which you've lost the sight of.
Yet tell us the manner of the wrestling.
I'll tell you the beginning. And if it please your ladyships, you may see the end. For the best is yet to do, and here they are coming to perform it.
Well, the beginning, that is dead and buried.
There comes an old man and his 3 sons.
I could match this beginning with an old tale.
3 proper young men of excellent growth and presence.
With bills on their necks, be it known unto all men by these presents.
The eldest of the 3 wrestled with Charles, which Charles in a moment threw him and broke 3 of his ribs, that there is little hope of life in him. And so he served the 2nd, and so the 3rd. Yonder they lie. The poor old man, their father, taking such pitiful dole over them that all the beholders take his part with weeping.
Alas.
But what is the sport, monsieur, that the ladies have lost?
Why this that I speak of?
Us men grow wiser every day. 'Tis the first time that ever I heard a breaking or ruse was sport for ladies.
Is there any else longs to see this broken music in his sides? Is there yet another dotes upon rib breaking? Shall we see this wrestling, cousin?
You must, if you stay here. For here is the place appointed for the wrestling, and they are ready to perform it.
Yonder, sure they are coming. Let us now stay and see it.
Come on, since youth will not be entreated, his own peril on his forwardness.
Is yonder the man?
Even he, madam.
Alas, he is too young. Yet he looks successfully.
How now, daughter and cousin? Are you crept hither to see the wrestling?
Aye, my liege, so please, you give us leave.
You will take a little delight in it, I can tell you. There's such odds in the man. In pity of the challenger's youth, I would fain dissuade him, but he will not be entreated. Speak with him, ladies. See if you can move him.
Call him hither, good Monsieur Le Beau.
Do so, I'll not be by.
Monsieur, the challenger, the princess calls for you.
I attend them with all respect and duty.
Young man, have you challenged Charles the wrestler?
No, fair princess, he is the general challenger. I come but in, as others do, to try with him the strength of my youth.
Young gentleman, your spirits are too bold for your years. You have seen cruel proof of this man's strength. If you saw yourself with your eyes, or knew with your judgment, the fear of your adventure would counsel you to a more equal enterprise. We pray you for your own sake to embrace your own safety and give over this attempt.
Do, young sir, your reputation shall not therefore be misprized. We will make it our suit to the Duke that the wrestling might not go forward.
I beseech you, punish me not with your hard thoughts, wherein I confess me much guilty to deny so fair and excellent ladies anything, but let your fair eyes and gentle wishes go with me to my trial, wherein if I be foiled, there is but one shamed that was never gracious. If killed, but one dead that is willing to be so. I shall do my friends no wrong, for I have none to lament me. The world no injury, for in it I have nothing. Only in the world I fill up a place which may be better supplied when I have made it empty.
The little strength that I have, I would it were with you.
And mind eke out hers.
Fare you well. Pray heaven I be deceived in you.
Your heart's desires be with you.
Come, where is this young gallant that is so desirous to lie with his mother earth?
Ready, sir, but his will hath in it a more modest working.
You shall try but one fall.
No, I warrant your grace, you shall not entreat him to a second that have so mightily persuaded him from a force.
You mean to mock me after? You should not have mocked me before, but come your ways.
Now Hercules be thy speed, young man.
Oh, I would I were invisible to catch the strong fellow by the leg.
Oh, excellent, young man.
If I had a thunderbolt in mine eye, I can tell you who should damn.
No more! No more!
Yes, I beseech your grace, I'm not yet well breathed.
How dost thou, Charles?
He cannot speak, my lord.
Bear him away. What is thy name, young man?
Orlando, my liege, the youngest son of Sir Rowland de Boys.
I would thou hast been son to some man else. The world esteemed thy father honourable, but I did find him still mine enemy. Thou should have better pleased me with this deed, hadst thou descended from another house. But fare thee well, thou art a gallant youth. Thou should have told me of another father.
Were I my father, cause would I do this?
I am more proud to be Sir Rowland's son, his youngest son, and would not change that calling to be adopted heir to Frederick.
My father loves Sir Rowland as his soul, and all the world was of my father's mind. Had I before known this young man his son, I should have given him tears unto entreaties, ere he should thus have ventured.
Gentle cousin, let us go thank him and encourage him. My father's rough and envious disposition sticks me at heart. Sir, you have well deserved. If you do keep your promises in love, but justly as you've exceeded all promise, your mistress shall be happy.
Gentlemen, wear this for me, one out of sooth with fortune that could give more, but that her hand lacks means. Shall we go, coz?
Aye, fare you well, fair gentleman.
Can I not say I thank you? My better parts are all thrown down, and that which here stands is but a quintain, a mere lifeless block.
Good sir, I do in friendship counsel you to leave this place. Albeit, you have deserved high commendation, true applause and love. Yet such is now the Duke's condition, that he misconstrues all that you have done. The Duke is humorous. What he is indeed more suits you to conceive than I to speak of.
I thank you, and pray you tell me this. Which of the two was daughter of the Duke that was here at the wrestling?
Neither his daughter, if we judge by manners. Yet indeed the smaller is his daughter. The other is daughter to the banished Duke, and here detained by her usurping uncle, to keep his daughter company, whose loves are dearer than the natural bond of sisters. But I can tell you this, the Duke hath ta'en displeasure against his gentle niece, based on no other argument but that the people praise her for her virtues, and pity her for her good father's sake. And on my life, his malice against the lady will suddenly break forth. Sir, fare you well. Hereafter in a better world than this, I do desire more love and knowledge of you.
I rest much bound unto you, fare you well. Thus must I from the smoke into the smother, from tyrant duke unto tyrant brother, but heavenly Rosalind.
My cousin? Why, Rosalind? Cupid have mercy, not a word.
Not one to throw the dog.
No, thy words are too precious to be cast away upon curs. Throw some of them at me. Come and lay me with reasons.
Then there were two cousins laid up, when the one should be lamed with reasons and the other mad without any.
But is all this for your father?
No, some of it is from my child's father. Oh, how full of briars is this working day world.
They are but burrs, cousin, thrown upon thee in holiday foolery. If we walk not in the trodden paths, our very petticoats will catch them.
I could shake them off my coat. These burrs are in my heart.
Hem them away.
I would try if I could cry hem and have him.
Come wrestle with thy affections.
Oh, they take the part of a better wrestler than myself.
Oh, a good wish upon you. You will try in time in the spite of a fall. But turning these jests out of service, let us talk in good earnest. Is it possible, on such a sudden, that you should fall into so strong a liking with old Sir Rowland's son?
The Duke, my father, loved his father dearly.
Doth it therefore ensue that you should love his son dearly? By this kind of chase I should hate him, for my father hated his father dearly. Yet I hate not Orlando.
No, Faith, hate him not for my sake.
Why should I not? Doth he not deserve well?
Let me love him for that. And do you love him? Because I do. Look, here comes the Duke.
With his eyes full of anger.
Mistress, dispatch you with your safest haste and get you from our court.
Me, uncle?
You, cousin. If within these 10 days thou beest found so near our public court as 20 miles, thou diest for it.
I do beseech your grace. Let me the knowledge of my fault bear with me. If with myself I hold intelligence, or have acquaintance with mine own desires. If that I do not dream, or be not frantic, as I do trust I am not, then, dear uncle, never so much as in a thought unborn did I offend your highness.
Thus do all traitors. If their purgation did consist in words, they are as innocent as grace itself. Let it suffice thee that I trust thee not.
Yet your mistrust cannot make me a traitor. Tell me whereon the likelihoods depends.
Thou art thy father's daughter, there's enough.
So was I when your highness took his dukedom. So was I when your highness banished him. Treason is not inherited, my lord. Or if we did derive it from our friends, what's that to me? My father was no traitor, then good my liege, mistake me not so much to think my poverty is treacherous.
Dear sovereign, hear me speak.
Aye, Celia, we stayed her for your sake, else had she with her father ranged along.
I did not then entreat to have her stay. It was your pleasure and your own remorse. I was too young that time to value her, but now I know her. If she be a traitor, why so am I. We have still slept together, rose on an instant, learned, played, ate together, and wheresoe'er we went, like Juno's swans, still we went, coupled and inseparable.
She is too subtle for thee. Her smoothness, her very silence, and her patience speak to the people, and they pity her. Thou art a fool, and thou wilt show more bright and seem more virtuous when she is gone. Then open not thy lips. Firm and irrevocable is my doom, which I have passed upon her. She is banished.
Pronounce that sentence down on me, my liege. I cannot live out of her company.
You are a fool. You, niece, provide yourself. If you outstay the time, upon the greatness of my word and upon mine honour, you die.
Oh, my poor Rosalind. Whither wilt thou go? Wilt thou change fathers? I will give thee mine. I charge thee, be thou not more grieved than I am.
I have more cause.
Thou hast not, cousin. Prithee be cheerful. Knowest thou not the Duke hath banished me, his daughter?
That he hath not.
No, hath not. Rosalind then lacks the love which teacheth thee that thou and I am one. Shall we be sundered? Shall we part, sweet girl? No. Let my father seek another heir. Therefore, devise with me how we may fly. Would it to go and want to bear with us? And do not seek to take your charge upon you, to bear your griefs yourself and leave me out. For by this heaven, now that our sorrows pale, say what thou canst. I'll go along with thee.
Why, whither shall we go?
To seek my uncle in the forest of Arden.
Alas, what danger will it be to us, maids as we are, to travel forth so far? Beauty provoketh thieves sooner than gold.
I'll put myself in poor and mean attire, and with a kind of umber smirch my face. Delight to you, so shall we pass along and never steer assailants.
Were it not better, because that I am more than common tall, that I did suit me all points like a man? A gallant curtlax upon my thigh, a boar spear in my hand, and in my heart lie there what hidden woman's fears there will. We'll have a swashing, and a marshal outside, as many other mannish cowards have, that do outface it with their semblances.
But what shall I call thee when thou art a man?
I'll have no worse a name than Jove's own page. Therefore look, you call me Ganymede. But what will you be called?
Something that hath reference to my state. No longer Celia, but Aliena.
But cousin, what if we essayed to steal the clownish fool from your father's court? Would he not be a comfort to us in our travail?
He'll go along o'er the wide world with me. Leave me alone to woo him. Now let's away and get our jewels and our wealth together, devise the fittest time and the safest way to hide us from the pursuit that will be made after my flight. Now go we in content, to liberty and not to banishment.
Now, my co-mates and brothers in exile, has not old custom made this life more sweet than that of painted pomp? Are not these woods more free from peril than the envious court? Here we feel but the penalty of Adam, as the icy fang and churlish chiding of the winter's wind, which, when it bites and blows upon my body, even till I shrink with cold, I smile and say, this is not flattery. These are counsellors that feelingly persuade me what I am. Sweet are the uses of adversity, which, like the toad, ugly and venomous, still wears a precious jewel in his head. And this our life exempt from public hunt. Find tongues in trees, books in the running brooks, sermons in stones, and good in everything.
I would not change it. Happy is your grace that can translate the stubbornness of fortune into so quiet and so sweet a style.
Come, shall we go kill us venison? And yet it irks me the poor dappled fools being native burghers of this desert city, have in their own confines with forked heads, have their round haunches gored.
Indeed, my lord, the melancholy Jaqueves grieves at that, and swears on that kind that you do more usurp than doth your brother that hath banished you. Today, my lord of Amiens and myself did steal behind him, as he lay along under an oak, whose antic roots peep out upon the brook that brawls along this wood, to the which place a poor sequestered stag that from the hunter's aim had ta'en a hort did come to languish. And indeed, my lord, the wretched animal heaved forth such groans that their discharge did stretch his leathern coat almost to bursting, and his big round tears coursed one another down his innocent nose in piteous chase. And thus the hairy fool, much marked of the melancholy Jaqueves, stood on the extremest verge of the swift brook, augmenting it with tears.
And what said Jaquees? Did he not moralise the spectacle?
Oh yes, into 1,000 similes, forced for his weeping into the needless stream. Poor dear, quoth he, thou makes the testament, as worldlings do, giving thy sum of more to that which had too much. Then, being there alone, left and abandoned of his velvet friend, 'tis right, quoth he, thus misery doth part the flux of company. Anon, a careless herd, full of the pasture, jumps along by him, and never stays to greet him. Aye, quoth Jaqueves, sweep on, you fat and greasy citizens, Wherefore do you look upon the poor and broken bankrupt there? Thus, most invectively, he pierced through the body of country, city, court. Yea, and of this our life, swearing that we are mere usurpers, tyrants, and what's worse, to fright the animals and to kill them up in their assigned and native dwelling place.
And did you leave him in this contemplation?
We did, my lord, weeping and commenting upon the sobbing deer.
Show me the place. I love to cope him in these sullen fits, for then he's full of matter.
I'll bring you to him straight.
Can it be possible that no man saw them? It cannot be. Some villains of my court are of consent and sufferance in this.
I cannot hear of any that did see her. The ladies, her attendants of her chamber, saw her bed, and in the morning early they found her bed untreasured of their mistress.
My lord, the Roynish clown, at whom so oft your grace was wont to laugh, is also missing. Hesperia, the princess gentlewoman, confesses that she secretly o'erheard your daughter and her cousin much commend the parts and graces of the wrestler that did but lately foil the sinewy Charles. And she believes wherever they are gone, that youth is surely in their company.
Send to his brother, fetch that gallant hither. If he be absent, bring his brother to me. I'll make him find him. Do this suddenly, and let not search and inquisition quail to bring again these foolish runaways.
Who's there?
What, my young master? Oh, my gentle master. Oh, my sweet master. Oh, you memory of old Sir Roland. Why, what make you here? Why are you virtuous? And why do people love you? And wherefore are you gentle, strong, and valiant? Why would you be so fond to overcome the bonny prizer of the humorous Duke? Your praises come too swiftly home before you, master. Know you not, to some kind of men, their graces serve them, but as enemies, no more do yours. Your virtues, gentle master, are sanctified and holy traitors to you. Oh, what a world is this when what is comely envenoms him that bears it.
Why, what's the matter?
Oh, unhappy youth. Come not within these doors. Within this roof, the enemy of your graces lives. Your brother. No, brother. Yet the son. Yet not the son. I will not call him son of him I was about to call his father. Had heard your praises, and this night he means to burn the lodging where you used to lie, and you within it. If he fail of that, he will have no other means to cut you off. I overheard him and his practices. This is no place. This house is but a butchery. Abhor it, fear it, do not enter it.
Why, whither, Adam, wouldst thou have me go?
No matter whither, so you come not here.
What, wouldst thou have me go and beg my food? Or with a base and boisterous sword enforce a thievish living on the common road? This I must do, or know not what to do. Yet this I will not do how I can. I rather will subject me to the malice of a diverted blood and bloody brother.
But do not so. I have 500 crowns. The thrifty hire I saved under your father, which I did store to be my foster nurse, when service should in my old limbs lie lame. Take that, and he that doth the ravens feed, he providently caters for the sparrow. Be comfort to my age. Here is the gold. All this I give you. Let me be your servant. Though I look old, yet I am strong and lusty. Therefore my age is as a lusty winter, frosty but kindly. Let me go with you. I'll do the service of a younger man in all your business and necessities.
Oh, good old man, how well in thee appears the constant service of the antique world, where servants sweat for duty, not for meed. Thou art not for the fashion of these times, where none will sweat but for promotion, and having that do choke their service up even with the having. It is not so with thee, but poor old man, thou prunest a rotten tree, that cannot so much as a blossom yield, in lieu of all thy pains and husbandry. But come thy ways, we'll go along together, and ere we have thy youthful wages spent, we'll light upon some settled low content.
Master, go on and I will follow thee. to the last gasp with truth and loyalty. From 17 years till now almost fourscore, here lived I, but now live here no more. At 17 years, many their fortune seek, but at fourscore, it is too late a week. Fortune cannot recompense me better than to die well and not my master's debtor.
Oh, Jupiter, how weary are my spirits.
I care not for my spirits if my legs weren't weary.
I could find it in my heart to disgrace my man's apparel and to cry like a woman. But I must comfort the weaker vessel, as doublet and hose ought to show itself courageous to petticoat. Therefore, courage, good Aliena.
Oh, I pray you bear with me. I cannot go no further. I faint almost to death. For my part, I had better bear with you than bear you.
Well, this is the forest of Arden.
Aye, now I am in Arden. The more fool I. When I was at home, I was in a better place. But travellers must be content.
Aye, be so, good Touchstone. Look you, who comes here? A young man and an old and solemn talk.
That is the way to make us scorn you still.
Oh, Corin, that thou knewst how I do love her.
I partly guess, for I have loved her now.
No, Corin, being old, thou canst not guess. Though in thy youth thou wast as true a lover as ever sighed upon a midnight pillow. But if thy love were ever like to mine, as sure I think did never man love so. How many actions most ridiculous hast thou been drawn to by thy fantasy?
Into 1,000 that I have forgotten.
Oh, thou didst then never love so heartily, if thou rememberest not the slightest folly that ever love did make thee run into. Thou hast not loved. Or if thou hast not sat, as I do now, wearing thy hearer in thy mistress' praise, thou hast not loved. Or if thou hast not broken from company abruptly, as my passion now makes me, thou hast not loved. Oh, Phoebe, Phoebe, Phoebe!
Alas, poor shepherd, searching of thy wind, I have by hard adventure found mine own.
And I mine. I remember when I was in love, I broke my sword upon a stone and bid him take that for taking a night to Jane's smile. And I remember the kissing of her batlet and the cow dogs that her pretty chopped hands had milked. Mwah. And I remember the wooing of a peace cod, from whom I took 2 cods, giving her them again, said with weeping tears, "Were these for my sake? We that are true lovers run into strange capers."
Thou speakst wiser than thou art ware of.
Nay, I shall ne'er be aware of mine own wit till I break my shins against it.
Jove, Jove, this shepherd's passion is much upon my fashion.
And I mine, yet it grows something stale in me. I pray you, one of you, question young man, if he for gold would give us any food. I faint almost to death. Holla, you clown!
Peace, fool, he's not thy kinsman.
Who calls?
You're better, sir.
Health today very wretched.
Peace, I say. A good even to you, friend.
And to you, gentle sir. And to you all.
I prithee, shepherd, if that lover gold can in this desert place buy entertainment, take us where we may rest ourselves and feed. Here's a young maid with travel much oppressed and faints for succour.
Fair sir, I pity her, and wish for her sake more than mine own that my fortunes were more able to relieve her, but I am a shepherd to another man, and do not share the fleeces that I graze. Besides, my master is of churlish disposition, and little recks to find the way to heaven by doing deeds of hospitality. Besides, his court, his flock, and bounds of feed are now on sale, and at that sheep cote now. By reasons of his absence, there is nothing that you will feed on. But what is? Come see, and in my voice most welcome shall you be.
What is he that shall buy his flock and pasture?
That young swain that you saw here but ere while, that little cares of buying anything.
I pray thee, if it stand with honesty, buy thou the cottage pasture and the flock, and thou shalt have to pay for it of us.
And we will mend thy wages,
I like this place and willingly could waste my time in it.
Assuredly the thing is to be sold. Come with me, if you like upon report the soil, the profit, and this kind of life. Why will your very faithful feet obey and buy it with your gold right suddenly?
Under the greenwood tree, who loves to lie with me and turn his merry note unto the sweet bird's throat. Come hither, come hither, come hither. Here shall he see no enemy but winter and rough weather.
More, I prithee, more.
It will make you melancholy, Monsieur Jacques.
I thank it. More, I prithee, more. I can suck melancholy out of a song as a weasel sucks eggs. More, I prithee, more.
My voice is ragged, so I know I cannot please you.
I do not desire you to please me. I do desire you to sing. Come more another stanzas. Call you 'em stanzas?
What you will, Monsieur Jacques.
Nay, I care not for their names. They owe me nothing. Come, will you sing?
More at your request than to please myself.
Well then, if I ever thank any man, I'll thank you. What they call compliment is like the encounter of two dog apes. Come, sing, and you that will not hold your tongues.
Okay, well, I'll end the song. Sirs, you cover the while. The Duke will drink under this tree. He hath been all this day to look you.
I've been all this day to avoid him. He's too disputable for my company. I think of as many matters as he, but give heaven thanks and make no boast of them. Come, warble, come.
Who doth ambition shun, and loves to live i' the sun, seeking the food he eats, and pleased with what he gets. Come hither, come hither, come hither. Here shall he see no enemy but winter and rough weather.
I'll give you a verse to this note that I made yesterday in despite of my invention.
And I'll sing it.
Thus it goes.
If it do come to pass that any man turn us, leaving his wealth and ease, a stubborn will to please, Duke Dame, Duke Dame, Duke Dame, here shall he see, gross fools is he, and if he will come to me, what's that? What? Duke Dame?
'Tis a Greek invocation to call fools into a circle. I'll go to sleep if I can. If I cannot, I'll rail against all the firstborn of Egypt.
And I'll go seek the Duke. His banquet is prepared.
Dear master, I can go no further. Oh, I die for food. Here lie I down and measure out my grave. Farewell, kind master.
Why, how now, Adam? No greater heart in thee. Live a little, comfort a little, cheer thyself a little. If this uncouth forest yields anything savage, I will either be food for it or bring it for food to thee. Thy conceit is nearer death than thy powers. For my sake, be comfortable, hold death a while at the arm's end. I will here be with thee presently, and if I bring thee not something to eat, I will give thee leave to die. But if thou diest before I come, thou art a mocker of my labour. Well said, thou lookst cheerly, and I'll be with thee quickly. Yes, thou liest in the bleak air. Come, I will bear thee to some shelter, and thou shalt not die for lack of a dinner if there live anything in this desert. Cheerly, good Adam.
I think he be transformed into a beast, for I can nowhere find him like a man.
My lord, he is but even now gone hence. Here was he merry, hearing of a song.
If he, compact of jars, grow musical, we shall have shortly discord in the spheres. Go, seek him. Tell him I would speak with him.
He saves my labour by his own approach.
Why, how now, monsieur? What life is this, that your poor friends must woo your company? What? You look merrily.
A fool. I met a fool in the forest. As I do live by food, I met a fool. who laid him down and basked him in the sun, and railed on Lady Fortune, in good terms, in good set terms, yet a motley fool. Good morrow, fool, quoth I. No, sir, quoth he, call me not fool till heaven hath sent me fortune. And he drew a dial from his poke, and looking on it with a lacklustre eye, he says, very wisely, it is 10 o'clock. Thus we may see, quoth he, how the world wags. 'Tis an hour ago since it was 9, and after 1 hour more 'twill be 11. And so from hour to hour we ripe, and then from hour to hour we rot, rot. And thereby hangs the tale. When I did hear the motley fool thus marl on the time, my lungs began to crow like chanticleer, that fools should be so deep contemplative. And I did laugh sans intermission an hour by his dial. O noble fool, O worthy fool, motley's the only wear.
What fool is this?
One that hath been a courtier, and says if ladies be but young and fair, they have the gift to know it. And in his brain, which is dry as the remainder biscuit after a voyage, he hath strange places crammed with observation in witchy vents in mangled forms. Oh, that I were a fool! I am ambitious for a motley coat.
Thou shalt have one.
It is my only suit, provided that you weed your better judgments. Of all opinion that grows rank in them that I am wise. I must have liberty withal, as large a charter as the wind to blow on whom I please, for so fools have. They that are most gulled with my folly, they most laugh, and wiser must they do so. For the wise plain as way to parish church. He that a fool doth very wisely hit, doth very foolishly, although he's smart not to seem senseless of the bob. If not, the wise man's folly is anatomized even in the squandering glances of the fool. Invest me in my motley, give me leave to speak my mind, and I will through and through cleanse that foul body of the infected world if they will patiently receive my medicine.
Fie on thee, I could tell what thou wouldst do.
What for a counter would I do but good?
Most mischievous foul sin in chiding sin, for thou thyself hast been a libertine, essential as the brutish sting itself, and on the embossed sores and headed evils that thou with license of free foot hast caught, would thou disgorge unto the general world?
Why, who cries out in pride that can bear and tax any private party? Doth it not flow as hugely as the sea, till that the weary very means do ebb? What woman in the city do I name when I say the city woman bears the cost of princes on unworthy shoulders? Who can come in and say that I mean her, when such a one as she, such is her neighbour? Or what is he, a basest function, that says his bravery is not on my cost, thinking that I mean him, but there suits his folly to the metal of my speech? There then, how then, what then? Let me see wherein my tongue hath wronged him. If it do him right, why then he hath wronged himself. If he be free, why then my taxing like a wild goose flies unclaimed by any man. But who comes here?
Forbear, and eat no more.
Why have I done yet?
Nor shalt not, till necessity be served.
More kind to this cock, come on.
Art thou thus bold in the ban by thy distress, or else a rude despiser of good manners, that in civility thou seemst so empty?
You touched my vein at first. The thorny point of bare distress hath ta'en from me the show of smooth civility. Yet am I inland bred and know some nurture. But forbear, I say, he dies that touches any of this fruit, till I and my affairs are answered.
And you will not be answered with reason. I must die.
What would you have? Your gentleness shall force more than your force moves us to gentleness.
I almost die for food, and let me have it.
Sit down and feed, and welcome to our table.
Speak you so gently? Pardon me, I pray you. I thought that all things had been savage here, and therefore put I on the countenance of stern commandment. But whate'er you are, that in this desert inaccessible, under the shade of melancholy boughs, lose and neglect the creeping hours of time. If ever you have looked on better days, if ever been where bells have knolled to church, if ever sat at any good man's feast, if ever from your eyelid wiped a tear, and know what 'tis to pity and be pitied, let gentleness my strong enforcement be, in the which hope I blush and hide my sword.
True is it that we have seen better days, and have with holy bell been knolled to church, and sat at good men's feasts, and wiped our eyes of drops that sacred pity hath engendered. And therefore sit you down in gentleness, and take upon command what help we have, that to your wanting may be ministered.
Then but forbear your food a little while, whilst like a doe I go to find my fawn and give it food. There is an old poor man who, after me, hath many a weary step, limped in pure love, till he be first sufficed oppressed with 2 weak evils, age and hunger. I shall not touch a bit.
Go, find him out, and we will waste nothing till you return.
I thank ye, and be blessed for your good comfort.
Thou seest we are not all alone and happy. This wide and universal theatre presents more woeful pageants than the scene wherein we play in.
All the world a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages. And first the infant, mewling and puking in the nurse's arms, and the whining schoolboy with his satchel and shining morning face, creeping unwillingly to school. Then the lover, sighing like a furnace with a woeful ballad made to his mistress' eyebrow. Then the soldier, full of strange oaths and bearded like a pard, jealous in honour, sudden and quick and quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation even in the cannon's mouth. Then the justice, in fair round belly and good cape and mind, with eyes severe and beard of formal cut, full of wise saws and modern instances. And so he plays his part. The 6th age shifts into lean and slippered pantaloon, with spectacles on nose and pouch on side, his youthful hose well saved a world too wide, for his shrunk shank and his big manly voice turning again toward childish treble pipes and whistles in his sound. Last scene of all that ends this strange eventful history, this second childishness and mere oblivion. Sans teeth, sans eyes, sans taste, sans everything.
Welcome. Sit down your venerable burden and let him feed.
I thank you most for him.
So had you need, I scarce can speak to thank you for myself.
Welcome. Fall to. I will not trouble you as yet to question you about your fortunes. Play music, and, good cousin, sing.
Blow, blow thou winter wind, thou art not so unkind as man's ingratitude. Thy tooth is not so keen, because thou art not seen, although thy breath be rude. Hey ho, sing hey ho unto the green holly. Most friendship is feigning, most loving mere folly. Then hey ho, the holly, this life is most jolly.
That you were the good Sir Roland's son, as you have whispered faithfully you wore, and mine eyes that his effigy's witness, most truly limbed and living in your face, be truly welcome hither. I am the Duke that loved your father. The residue of your fortune, go to my cave and tell me. Good old man, thou art right welcome as thy master is. Support him by the arm. Give me your hand, and let me all your fortunes understand.
Freeze, freeze, thou bitter sky, thou dost not bite so nigh as benefits forgot. Though thou the waters warp, thy sting is not so sharp as friends remembered not. Hey ho, sing hey ho unto the green holly. Most friendship is feigning, most loving mere folly. Then hey ho, the holly, this life is most jolly.
Not seen him since? Sir, that cannot be. But were I not the better part made mercy, I would not seek an absent argument of my revenge, thou present. But look to it. Find out thy brother, wheresoe'er he is. Seek him with candle. Bring him dead or living within this 12-month, or turn thou no more to seek a living in our territory. Thy lands and all things that thou dost call thine, wert Caesar, do we seize into our hands, till thou canst quit thee by thy brother's mout of what we think against thee.
Oh, that your highness knew my heart in this. I never loved my brother in my life.
More villain thou! Well, push him out of doors. Let my officers of such a nature make an extent upon his house and lands. Do this expediently, and turn him going.
Hang there my verse in witness of my love, and thou thrice-crowned queen of night survey, with thy chaste eye from thy pale sphere above, thy huntress name that my full life doth sway. O Rosalind, these trees shall be my books, and in their barks my thoughts all character, that every eye which in this forest looks shall see thy virtue witnessed everywhere. Run, run, Orlando, carve on every tree the fair, the chaste, and unexpressive she.
And how like you the shepherd's life, Master Touchstone?
Truly, shepherd, in respect of itself it is a good life, but in respect that it is a shepherd's life, it is not. In respect that it is solitary, I like it very well, but in respect that it is private, it is a very vile life. Now in respect that it is in the fields, it pleaseth me well, but in respect that it is not at the court, it is tedious. As it is a spare life, look you, it fits my humour well. But since there is no more plenty in it, it goes much against my stomach. Hast any philosophy in thee, shepherd?
No more, but I know, the more one sickens, the worse at ease he is. And that he that wants money, means and content, is without 3 good friends. That the property of rain is to wet, and fire to burn. That good pasture makes fat sheep, and that a great cause of the night is lack of the sun. And that he that hath learned no wit by nature, nor art, may complain of poor breeding, who comes of a very dull kindred.
Such a one is a natural philosopher. Wast ever at court, shepherd?
No, truly?
Then thou art damned.
Nay, I hope.
Truly, thou art damned. Like an ill-roasted egg, all on one side.
For not being at court. Your reason?
Why? If thou never wast at court, thou never sawest good manners. If thou never sawest good manners, thy manners must be wicked. And wickedness is sin, and sin is damnation. Thou art in a parlous state, shepherd.
Not a whit, Touchstone. Those that are good manners at the court are as ridiculous in the country as the behaviours of the country are most mockable at the court. You told me you salute not at court, but you kiss your hands. That courtesy would be uncleanly if courtiers were shepherds.
Instance, briefly, come instance.
Why, we are still handling our yaws, and their fells, you know, are greasy.
Why, do not your courtiers' hands sweat? And is not the grease of a mutton as wholesome as the sweat of a man? Shallow, shallow. A better instance, I say, come.
Besides, our hands are hard.
Your lips will feel them the sooner. A more sounder instance, come.
And they are often tarred over with the surgery of our sheep. And would you have us kiss tar? Oh, the courtiers' hands are perfumed with civet.
Most shallow man, thou warmest me in respect of a good piece of flesh indeed. Learned thou, wise and perpend, civet is a baser birth than tar, the very uncleanly flux of a cat. Mend the instance, shepherd.
You have too courtly a wit for me. I'll rest.
Wilt thou rest damned?
Sir, I am a true labourer. I earn that I eat, get that I wear. Oh, no man hate, envy no man's happiness. Glad of other men's good, content with my harm. And the greatest of my pride is to see my ewes graze and my lambs suck.
Oh, this is another simple sin in you, to bring the ewes and the rams together and to offer to get your living by the copulation of cattle, to be bawd to a bellwether and to betray a she-lamb of a 12-month to a crooked-baited cuckoldy ram out of a more reasonable match. If thou beest not damned for this, the devil himself will have no shepherds. I cannot see how else thou shouldst scape.
Here comes young Master Ganymede.
From the east to western Ind, no Judas like Rosalind, her worth being mounted on the wind, through all the world bears Rosalind. All the pictures fairest lined are but black to Rosalind. Let no fair be kept in mind but the fair of Rosalind.
I'll rhyme you 8 so years together. Dinners and suppers and working hours accepted.
Out, fool.
For a taste, if a heart do lack a hind, let him seek out Rosalind. If the cat will after kind, so be sure will Rosalind. Winter garments must be lined, so must slender Rosalind. They that reap must sheaf and bind, then to card with Rosalind. Such a nut hath sourest rind, such a nut is Rosalind. He that sweetest rose will find, must find love's prick and Rosalind. This is the very false gallop of verses. Why do you infect yourself with them?
Peace, you dull fool. I found them on a tree.
Truly the tree yields bad fruit.
Peace. Here comes my sister reading. Stand aside.
Why should this a desert be? For it is unpeopled. No, tongues shall hang on every tree that shall civil saying show. Somehow brief the life of man runs his erring pilgrimage, that the stretching of a span buckles in his sum of age. Some have violated vows, twixt the soul of friend and friend, but upon various bows, or at every sentence end, will I Rosalinda write, teaching all that read to know, the quintessence of every sprite, heaven would and little show. Therefore heaven nature charged, that one body should be filled, with all graces wide enlarged, nature presently distilled. Helen's cheek but not her heart, Cleopatra's majesty, Atalanta's better part, sad Lucretia's modesty, thus Rosalind of many parts. By heavenly synod was devised, of many faces, eyes and hearts, to have the touches dearest prized. Heaven would that she these gifts should have, and I to live and die her slave. Slave.
O most gentle pulpiter, what tedious homily of love have you wearied your parishioners withal, and never cried, have patience, good people.
Didst thou hear these verses?
Oh yes, I heard them all, and more too, for some of them had in them more feet than the verses would bear.
That's no matter, the feet might bear the verses.
Aye, but the feet were lame and could not bear themselves without the verse, and therefore stood lamely in the verse.
But didst thou hear, without wondering, how thy name should be hung and carved upon these trees?
I was 7 of the 9 days out of the wonder before you came. For look here what I found on a palm tree. I was never so berhymed since Pythagoras' time that I was an Irish rat, which I can hardly remember.
Trow you who hath done this?
Is it a man?
And a chain you once wore about his neck. Change you colour?
I prithee, who?
Oh Lord, Lord, it is a hard matter for friends to meet, but mountains may be removed with earthquakes and so encounter.
Nay, but who is it?
Is it possible?
Nay, I prithee now, with most petitionary vehemence, tell me who it is.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful, and most wonderful, and yet again, wonderful, wonderful, and after that, out of all hooping.
Good my complexion, dost thou think though I am caparisoned like a man, I have a doublet and hose in my disposition? 1 inch of delay more is a south sea of discovery. I prithee, tell me who it is, and speak apace. I would thou couldst stammer that thou mightst pour this concealed man out of thy mouth, like wine comes out of a narrow-mouthed bottle, either too much at once or none at all. I prithee, take the cork out of thy mouth, so I may drink thy tidings.
So you may put a man in your belly.
Is he of God's making? What manner of man? Is his head worth a hat, or his chin worth a beard?
Nay, he hath but a little beard.
Why, God will send more if the man will be thankful. Let me stay the growth of his beard, if thou delay me not the knowledge of his chin.
It is young Orlando that tripped up the wrestler's heels and your heart both in an instant.
Nay, but the devil take mocking. Speak sad brow and true maid.
If because 'tis he,
Orlando.
or Lando.
Alas the day! What shall I do with my doublet and hose? What did he when thou saw'st him? What said he? How looked he? Wherein went he? What makes he here? Did he ask for me? Where remains he? How parted he with thee, and when shalt thou see him again? Answer me in one word.
You must borrow me Gargantua's mouth first. 'Tis a word too great for any mouth of this age's size. If you say aye or no to these particulars, it is more than to answer to in a catechism.
But doth he know I am in this forest and in man's apparel? Looks he as freshly as he did the day he wrestled?
It is as easy to count atomies as to resolve the propositions of a lover. But take a taste of my finding him and relish it with good observance. I found him under a tree, like a dropped acorn.
It may well be called Jove's tree when it drops forth such fruit.
Give me audience, good madam.
Proceed.
There he lay, stretched along like a wounded knight.
Though it be a pity to see such a sight, it well becomes the ground.
Cry holla to thy tongue, I prithee, it corvets unseasonably. He was furnished like a hunter.
Oh, ominous! He comes to kill my heart.
I would sing my song without a burden, thou bring'st me out of tune.
Do you not know I am a woman? When I think I must speak, sweet, say on.
You bring me out. Soft, comes he not here?
'Tis he. Slink by and note him.
I thank you for your company, but good faith, I had as lief have been myself alone.
And so had I, but yet, for fashion's sake, I thank you too for your society.
God be with you. Let's meet as little as we can.
I do desire we may be better strangers.
I pray you, mar no more trees is writing love songs in their barks.
I pray you, mar no more of my verses with reading them ill-favouredly.
Rosalind is your love's name?
Yes, just.
I do not like her name.
There was no thought of pleasing you when she was christened.
What stature is she of?
Just as high as my heart.
Ah, you are full of pretty answers. Have you not been acquainted with goldsmiths' wives and consummate rings?
Not so, but I answer you right painted cloth from whence you have studied your questions.
You've a nimble wit. Think it was made of Atalanta's heels. Will you sit down with me, and we two will rail against our mistress the world and all our misery?
I will chide no breather in the world, but myself against whom I know most faults.
The worst fault you have is to be in love.
'Tis a fault I will not change for your best virtue. I am weary of you.
By my troth, I was seeking for a fool when I found you.
He is drowned in the brook. Look but in and you shall see him.
There I shall see mine own figure.
Which I take to be either a fool or a cipher.
I'll tarry no longer with you. Farewell, good Signor Love.
I am glad of your departure. Adieu, good Monsieur Melancholy.
I will speak to him like a saucy lackey, and under that habit play the knave with him. Do you hear, Forester?
Very well. What would you?
I pray you, what is to clock?
You should ask what time of day. There's no clock in the forest.
Then there is no true lover in the forest, else sighing every minute and groaning every hour would detect the lazy foot of time as well as a clock.
And why not the swift foot of time? Had that not been as proper?
By no means, sir. Time travels in divers paces with divers persons. I'll tell you who time ambles withal, who time trots withal, who time gallops withal, and who he stands still withal.
I prithee, who doth he trot withal?
Marry, he trots hard with a young maid between the contract of her marriage and the day it is solemnized. If the interim be but a sennight, time's pace is so hard that it seems the length of 7 years.
Who ambles time withal?
With a priest that lacks Latin, and the rich man that hath not the gout. For the one sleeps easily because he cannot study, and the other lives merrily because he feels no pain. These time ambles withal.
Who doth he gallop withal?
With a thief, to the gallows, for though he go as softly as foot can fall, he thinks himself too soon there.
Who stays it still withal?
With lawyers in the vacation, for they sleep between term and term, and then they perceive not how time moves.
Where dwell you, pretty youth?
With the shepherdess, my sister, here in the skirts of the forest, like fringe upon a petticoat.
Are you native of this place?
As the coney that you see dwell where she is kindled.
Your accent is something finer than you could purchase in so removed a dwelling.
I have been told so of many, but indeed, an old religious uncle of mine taught me to speak, who in his youth was an inland man, one that knew courtship too well, for there he fell in love. I have heard him read many lectures against it, and I thank God I am not a woman, to be touched with so many giddy offences as he hath generally taxed their whole sex withal.
Can you remember any of the principal evils that he laid to the charge of women?
They were none principal. They were all like one another, as halfpence are, every one fault seeming monstrous till his fellow fault came to match it.
I prithee, recount some of them.
No, I will not cast away my physic but on those that are sick. There is a man haunts this forest that abuses our young plants with carving Rosalind on their barks, hangs odes upon hawthorns and elegies on brambles, all forsooth deifying the name of Rosalind. If I could meet that fancy monger, I would have some good counsel with him, for he seems to have the quotidian of love upon him.
I am he that is so love-shaked. I pray you, tell me your remedy.
There is none of my uncle's marks upon you. He taught me to know a man in love, in which cage of rushes I am sure you are not a prisoner.
What were his marks?
A lean cheek, which you have not, a blue eye unsunken, which you have not, an unquestionable spirit, which you have not, a beard neglected, which you have not, but I pardon you for that, for simply your having in beard is a younger brother's revenue. Then your hose should be ungartered, your bonnet unbanded, your shoe untied, and everything about you demonstrating a careless desolation. But you are no such man. You are rather point-device in your accoutrements, as loving yourself than seeming the lover of any other.
Fair youth, I would I could make thee believe. I love.
Me? Believe it. You may as soon make her that you love believe it, which I warrant she is apter to do than to confess she does. That is one of the points in the which women still give the lie to their consciences. But in good sooth, are you he that hangs the verses on the trees wherein Rosalind is so admired?
I swear to thee, youth, by the white hand of Rosalind, I am that he, that unfortunate he.
But are you so much in love as your rhymes speak?
Neither rhyme nor reason can express how much.
Love is merrily a madness, and I tell you deserves as well a dark house and a whip as madmen do. And the reason why they are not so punished and cured is that the lunacy is so ordinary that the whippers are in love too. Yet I profess curing it by counsel.
Did you ever cure any so?
Yes, one. And in this manner, he was to imagine me, his love, his mistress, and I set him every day to woo me, at which time would I, being but a moonish youth, grieve, be effeminate, changeable, longing and liking, proud, fantastical, apish, shallow, full of tears, full of smiles, for every passion something, and for no passion truly anything, as boys and women are for the most part cattle of this colour. Now like him, now loathe him, then entertain him, then forswear him, now weep for him, then spit at him that I drave my suitor from his mad humour of love to a living humour of madness, which was to live in a nook merely monastic, and thus I cured him, and this way will I take upon me to wash your liver as clean as a sound sheep's heart, that there shall not be one spot of love in't.
I would not be cured, youth.
I would cure you, if you would but call me Rosalind and come every day to my coat and woo me.
Now by the faith of my love I will. Tell me where it is.
Go with me to it and I'll show it to you. And by the way, you shall tell me where in the forest you live. Will you go?
With all my heart, good youth.
Nay, you must call me Rosalind. Come, sister, will you go?
Come apace, good Audrey. I'll fetch up your goats, Audrey. And how, Audrey, am I the man yet? Doth my simple features content you?
Your features, Lord warrant us, what features?
I am here with thee and thy goats as the most capricious poet. Honest Ovid was among the gods. Truly I would the gods had made thee poetical.
I do not know what poetical is. Is it honest in deed and word? Is it a true thing?
No, truly, for the truest poetry is the most feigning As lovers are given to poetry, what they swear in poetry may be said. As lovers they do feign.
Do you wish then that the gods had made me poetical?
I do truly, for thou swearest me thou art honest. Now if thou wert a poet, I might have some hope thou didst feign.
Would you not have me honest?
No, truly, unless thou wert our favourite, for honesty coupled to beauty is to have honey, a sauce to sugar.
Well, I am not fair, and therefore I pray the gods make me honest.
Truly, and to cast away honesty upon a foul slut is to put good meat into an unclean dish.
I am not a slut, and therefore I pray the gods make me foul.
Well, praise be the gods for thy foulness. Sluttishness may come hereafter, but be it as it may be, I will marry thee. And to that end I have been with Sir Oliver Martext, the vicar of the next village, who hath promised to meet me here in this place of the forest and to couple us. I would fain to see this meeting.
Well, the gods give us joy.
Amen. A man may, if he were of fearful heart, stagger in this attempt. For here we have no temple but the woods, no assembly but horned beasts. But what though? Courage. As horns are odious, they are necessary. It is said many a man knows no end of his goods, right? Many a man has good horns and knows no end of them. Is there none here to give the woman? Proceed, proceed, I'll give her. Good even, good master, what you call it. How do you do, sir? You are very well met. God ills you for your last company. Even a toy in hand here, sir. Nay, pray be covered. Will you be married, Motley? As the ox hath his bow, sir, the horse his curb, the falcon her bells, so man hath his desires. As pigeon's bills, so wedlock would be nibbling. And will you, being a man of your breeding, be married under a bush like a beggar? Get you to church and have a good priest tell you what marriage is. Sir Oliver Martex will but join you as they join wainscot, and one of you will prove a shrunk panel, and like green timber warp. I am not in the mind it were better to be married of him than of another, for he is not like to marry me well, and not being well married would be a good excuse for me thereafter to leave my wife. Go thou with me, and let me counsel thee. Come, sweet Audrey, we must be married, or we must live in bawdry.
Never talk to me. I will weep.
Oh, do, I prithee, yet have the grace to consider that tears do not become a man.
But have I not cause to weep?
As good cause as one would desire, therefore weep.
His very hair is of the dissembling colour.
Something browner than Judas's. Marry, his kisses are Judas's own children.
I' faith, his hair is of a good colour.
An excellent colour. Your chestnut was ever the only colour.
And his kissing is as full of sanctity as the touch of holy bread.
He had bought a pair of cast lips of Diana and none of winter sisterhood. Kisses not more religiously. The very ice of chastity is in them.
But why did he swear he would come this morning and comes not?
Nay, there is certainly no truth in him.
Do you think so?
Yes. I think he is not a pig purse nor a horse stealer. Before his verity and love, I do think him as concave. As a covered goblet or a worm-eaten nut.
Not true in love.
Yes, when he is in, but I think he is not in.
You have heard him swear downright he was.
Was is not is. Besides, the oath of a lover is no stronger than the word of a tapster. They are both the confirmers of false reckonings. He attends here in the forest on the Duke, your father.
I met the Duke this morning and had much question with him. He asked me of what parentage I was. I told him it was as good as he, so he laughed and let me go. But what talk we of fathers when there is such a man as Orlando?
Oh, that's a brave man. He writes brave verses, speaks brave words, swears brave oaths, and breaks them bravely quite traverse athwart the heart of his lover, a puny tilter, that spurs his horse but on one side, breaks his staff like a noble goose. But all's brave that youth mounds and folly guides. Oh, who comes here?
Mistress and master, you have oft inquired after the shepherd that complained of love, who you saw sitting by me on the turf, praising the proud and disdainful shepherdess that was his mistress.
Well, and what of him?
If you will see a pageant truly played between the pale complexion of true love and the red glow scorn of proud disdain, go hence a little, and I shall conduct you, if you will mark it.
Oh, come, let us remove. The sight of lovers feedeth those in love. Bring us to the sight, and you shall say, I'll prove a busy actor in their play.
Sweet Phoebe, do not scorn me. Do not, Phoebe. Say that you love me not, but say not so in bitterness. The common executioner, whose heart the accustomed sight of death makes hard, falls not the axe upon the humble neck, but first begs pardon. Will you sterner be than he that dies and lives by bloody drops?
I would not be thy executioner. I fly thee, for I would not injure thee. Thou tell'st me there is murder in mine eye. 'Tis pretty sure and very probable that eyes that are the frailest and softest things, who shut their coward gates on atomies, should be called tyrants, butchers, murderers. No, I do frown on thee with all my heart, and if my eyes can wound, now let them kill thee. Now counterfeit to swoon, why now fall down, or if thou canst not, oh for shame, for shame. Lie not to say mine eyes are murderers. Now show the wound mine eye hath made in thee, and scratch deep it with a pin. There remains some scar of it. Lean thou upon a rush. The cicatrix and capable impression of thy palm some moment keeps. But now, mine eyes, which I have darted at thee, hurt thee not. Nor, I am sure there is no force in eyes that can do hurt.
Oh, dear Phoebe, if ever as that ever may be near, you meet in some fresh cheek the power of fancy, then shall you know the wounds invisible that love's keen arrows make.
But till that time, come not thou near me, and when that time comes, afflict me with thy mocks, pity me not, as till that time I shall not pity thee.
And why, I pray you, who might be your mother, that you insult, exult, and all at once over the wretched? What though you have no beauty, as, by my faith, I see no more in you than without candle may go dark to bed? Must you be therefore proud and pitiless? Why, what means this? Why do you look on me? I see no more in you than the ordinary of nature's sails work. Odds my little life, I think she means to tangle my eyes too. No, faith, proud mistress, hope not after it. 'Tis not your inky brows, your black silk hair, your bugle eyeballs, nor your cheek of cream that can entame my spirits to your worship. You foolish shepherd, wherefore do you follow her like foggy south puffing with wind and rain? You are 1,000 times a properer man than she a woman. 'Tis such fools as you that makes the world full of ill-favoured children. 'Tis not her glass, but you that flatters her, and out of you she sees herself more proper than any of her lineaments can show her. But mistress, know yourself, down on your knees, and thank heaven fasting for a good man's love. For I must tell you friendly in your ear, sell when you can, you are not for all markets. Cry the man mercy, love him, take his offer. Foul is most foul, being foul to be a scoffer. So take her to thee, shepherd. Fare you well.
Sweet youth, I pray you chide a year together. I had rather hear you chide than this man woo.
He is fallen in love with your foulness, and she'll fall in love with my anger. If it be so, as fast as she answers thee with frowning looks, I'll sauce her with bitter words. Why look you so upon me?
For no ill will, I bear you.
I pray you do not fall in love with me, for I am falser than vows made in wine. Besides, I like you not. If you will know my house, 'tis at the tuft of olives here hard by. Will you go, sister? Shepherd, ply her hard. Come, sister. Shepherdess, look on him better and be not proud. Though all the world could see, none could be so abused at sight as he. Come, to our flock.
Dead shepherd, now I find thy saw of might. Whoever loved that loved not at first sight.
Sweet Phoebe.
Huh? What sayest thou, Sylvius?
Sweet Phoebe. Pity me.
Why, I am sorry for thee, gentle Sylvius.
Wherever sorrow is, relief would be. If you do sorrow at my grief and love, by giving love your sorrow and my grief, we're both extermined.
Thou hast my love. Is not that neighbourly?
I would have you.
Why, that were covetousness! Sylvius, the time was that I hated thee, and yet it is not that I bear thee love, but since that thou canst talk of love so well, thy company which erst was irksome to me, I will endure, and I'll employ thee too. But do not look for further recompense than thine own gladness that thou art employed.
So holy and so perfect is my love, and I in such a poverty of grace, that I shall find it a most plenteous crop, to glean the broken ears, after the man that the main harvest reaps. Loose now and then a scattered smile, and that I live upon.
Know'st thou the youth that spoke to me erewhile?
Not very well, but I had met him oft, and he hath bought the cottage and the bounds that the old Carlet was once master of.
Think not I love him, though I ask for him. 'Tis but a peevish boy, yet he talks well. But what care I for words? Yet words do well, when he that speaks them pleases those that hear. It is a pretty youth, not very pretty, but sure he's proud, and yet his pride becomes him. He'll make a proper man. The best thing in him is his complexion, and faster than his tongue did make offence his eye did heal it up. He is not very tall, yet for his years he's tall. His leg is but so-so, and yet 'tis well. There was a pretty redness in his lip, a little riper and more lusty red than that mixed in his cheek. 'Twas just a difference betwixt the constant red and mingled damask. There be some women, Sylvius, had they marked him in parcels as I did, would have gone near to fall in love with him. But for my part, I love him not, nor hate him not, and yet I have more cause to hate him than to love him. For what had he to do to chide at me? He said mine eyes were black, and my hair black, and now I am remembered, scorned at me. I marvel why I answered not again. But that's all one. Admittance is no quittance. I'll write to him a very taunting message, and thou shalt bear it. Wilt thou, Sylvius?
Phoebe, with all my heart.
I'll write it straight. The matter's in my head and in my heart. I would be bitter with him and passing short. Go with me, Sylvius.
I prithee, pretty youth, let me be better acquainted with thee.
They say you are a melancholy fellow.
I am so. I do love it better than laughing.
Those that are in the extremity of either are abominable fellows, and betray themselves to every modern censure worse than drunkards.
Why, 'tis good to be sad than say nothing.
Why then, 'tis good to be a post.
I have neither the scholar's melancholy, which is emulation, nor the musician's, which is fantastical, nor the courtier's, which is proud, nor the soldier's, which is ambitious, nor the lawyer's, which is politic, nor the lady's, which is nice, nor the lover's, which is all these. But it is a melancholy of mine own, compounded of many simples, extracted from many objects, indeed the sundry computation of my travels, in which wraps me in a most humorous sadness.
A traveller? By my faith, you have great reason to be sad. I fear you have sold your own land to see other men's. Then to have seen much and to have nothing is to have rich eyes and poor hands.
Yes, I have gained my experience.
And your experience makes you sad. I would rather have a fool to make me merry than experience to make me sad. And to travel for it too.
Good day and happiness, dear Rosalind.
Nay, God be with you, and you talk in blank verse.
Farewell, Monsieur Traveller. Look you lisp and wear strange suits. Disable all the benefits of your own country. Be out of love with your nativity, and almost chide God for making you that countenance you are. Or I will scarce think you have swam in a gondola. Why, how now, Orlando? Where have you been all this while? You a lover, and you serve me such another trick? Never come in my sight more.
My fair Rosalind, I come within an hour of my promise.
Break an hour's promise in love. He that will divide a minute into 1,000 parts, and break but a part of the 1,000th part of a minute in the affairs of love, It may be said of him that Cupid hath clapped him on the shoulder, but I'll warrant him heart whole.
Pardon me, dear Rosalind.
Nay, and you be so tardy. Come no more in my sight. I had as lief be wooed of a snail.
Of a snail.
Aye, of a snail. For though he comes slowly, he carries his house on his head. A better jointure, I think, than you make a woman. Besides, he brings his destiny with him.
What's that?
Why, horns, which such as you are fain to be beholding to your wives for. But he comes armed in his fortunes, and prevents the slander of his wife.
Virtue is no horn maker, and my Rosalind is virtuous.
And I am your Rosalind.
It pleases him to call you so, but he hath a Rosalind of a better leer than you.
Come, woo me, for now I am in a holiday humour, and like enough to consent. What would you say to me now, and I were your very, very Rosalind?
I would kiss before I spoke.
Nay, you were better speak first, and when you were gravelled for lack of matter, you might take occasion to kiss. Very good orators when they are out, they will spit, and for lovers lacking, God warrant us, matter. The cleanliest shift is to kiss.
How if the kiss be denied?
Then she puts you to entreaty, and there begins new matter.
Who could be out being before his beloved mistress?
That should you. If I were your mistress, or I should think my honesty ranker than my wit.
What of my suit?
Not out of your apparel, and yet out of your suit. Am not I your Rosalind?
I take some joy to say you are, because I would be talking of her.
Well, in her person, I say I will not have you.
Then in mine own person, I die.
No, faith, die by attorney. The poor world is almost 6,000 years old, and in all this time, there was not any man died in a love cause. Men have died from time to time, and worms have eaten them, but not for love.
I would not have my right Rosalind of this mine, for I protest her frown might kill me.
By this hand, it will not kill a fly. But come now, I will be your Rosalind in a more coming on disposition, and ask me what you will, I will grant it.
Then love me, Rosalind.
Yes, faith will I, Fridays and Saturdays and all.
And wilt thou have me?
Aye, and 20 such.
What say'st thou?
Are you not good?
I hope so.
Why then, can one desire too much of a good thing? Come, sister, you shall be the priest and marry us. Give me your hand, Orlando. What do you say, sister?
Pray thee, marry us.
I cannot say the words.
You must begin. Will you, Orlando?
Go to. Will you, Orlando, have to wife this Rosalind?
I will.
Aye, but when?
Why now, as fast as she can marry us.
Then you must say, I take thee, Rosalind, for wife.
I take thee, Rosalind, for wife.
I might ask you for your commission, but I do take thee, Orlando, for my husband. There's a girl goes before the priest, and certainly a woman's thought runs before her actions.
So do all thoughts, they are winged.
Tell me how long you would have her after you have possessed her.
For ever and a day.
Say a day without the ever. No, Orlando. Men are April when they woo, December when they wed. Maids are May when they are maids, but the sky changes when they are wives. I will be more jealous of thee than a Barbary cock pigeon over his hen, more clamorous than a parrot against rain, more newfangled than an ape, more giddy in my desires than a monkey. I will whip for nothing, like Diana in the fountain, and I will do that when you are disposed to be merry. I will laugh like a hyena, and that when thou art inclined to sleep.
But will my Rosalind do so?
By my life, she will do as I do.
Oh, but she is wise.
Or else she could not have the wit to do this. The wiser, the waywarder, make the door upon a woman's wit, and it will out at the casement. Shut that, and 'twill out at the keyhole. Stop that, 'twill fly with the smoke out at the chimney.
A man that had a wife with such a wit, he might say, wit whither wilt.
Nay, you might keep that check for it till you met your wife's wit going to your neighbour's bed.
And what wit could wit have to excuse that?
Marry, to say she came to seek you there. You shall never take her without her answer unless you take her without her tongue. Oh, that woman that cannot make her fault her husband's occasion, let her never nurse her child herself, for she will breed it like a fool.
For these 2 hours, Rosalind, I will leave thee.
Alas, dear love, I cannot lack thee 2 hours.
I must attend the Duke at dinner. By 2 o'clock I'll be with thee again.
Aye, go your ways. Go your ways. I knew what you would prove. My friends told me as much, and I thought no less. That flattering tongue of yours won me. 'Tis but one cast away, and so come death. 2 o'clock is your hour.
Aye, sweet Rosalind.
By my troth, and in good earnest, and so God mend me, and by all pretty oaths that are not dangerous, if you break one jot of your promise, or come 1 minute behind your hour, I will think you the most pathetical break promise, and the most hollow lover, and the most unworthy of her you call Rosalind, that may be chosen out of the gross band of the unfaithful. Therefore, beware my censure, and keep your promise.
With no less religion than if thou wert indeed my Rosalind, so adieu.
Well, time is the old justice that examines all such offenders, and let time try. Adieu.
You have simply misused our sex in your love parade. We must have your doublet and hose plucked over your head to show the world what the bird hath done to her own nest.
Oh, cuz, my pretty little cuz, that thou didst know how many fathom deep I am in love. But it cannot be sounded. My affection hath an unknown bottom like the Bay of Portugal.
Or rather bottomless, that as fast as you pour affection in, it runs out.
No, that same wicked bastard of Venus that was begot of thought, conceived of spleen, and born of madness. That blind rascally boy that abuses everyone's eyes because his own are out. Let him be judge how deep I am in love. I tell thee, Aliena, I cannot be out of the sight of Orlando. I'll go find a shadow and sigh till he come.
And I'll sleep.
Which is he that killed the deer?
Sir, it was I.
Let's present him to the Duke like a Roman conqueror, and it would do well to set the deer's horns upon his head for a branch of victory. Have you no song, Forester, for this purpose?
Yes, sir.
Sing it, 'tis no matter how it been tuned, so it make noise enough.
What shall he have that killed the deer? His leather skin and horns to wear.
Then sing him home, the rest shall bear this burden.
Take thou no scorn to wear the horn. It was a crest ere thou wast born. Thy father's father wore it, and thy father bore it. The horn, the lusty horn, is not a thing to laugh to scorn.
How say you now? Is it not past 2 o'clock, and here much Orlando?
I warrant you with pure love and troubled brain, he hath ta'en his bow and arrows and is gone forth to sleep. Look who comes here.
My errand is to you, fair youth. My gentle Phoebe did bid me give you this. What's your number?
Airdrop it to me.
I know not the contents, but as I guess by the stern brow and waspish action she did use as she was writing of it, it bears an angry tenor. Pardon me, I am but a guiltless messenger.
Patience herself would startle at this message, and play the swaggerer. Bear this, bear all. She says I am not fair, that I lack manners. She calls me proud, and that she could not love me were man as rare as phoenix. Odds my will, her love is not the hare that I do hunt. Why writes she so to me? Well, shepherd, well, this is a message of your own device.
No, I protest. I know not the contents. Phoebe did write it.
Come, you are a fool, and turned into the extremity of love. I saw her hand. She has a leathern hand, a freestone coloured hand. I verily did think that her old gloves were on, but 'twas her hand. She has a housewife's hand, but that's no matter. I say she never did invent this message. This is a man's invention and his hand.
Sure, it is hers.
Why, 'tis a boisterous and a cruel style. A style for challengers. Will you hear the message?
So please you, for I never heard it, yet heard too much of Phoebe's cruelty.
She Phoebe's me. Mark how the tyrant rails.
Art thou God to shepherd turned, that a maiden's heart had burned?
Can a woman rail thus?
Call you this railing?
Why thy Godhead laid apart, warst thou at a woman's heart?
Do you ever hear such railing?
Whilst the eye of man did woo me, that could do no vengeance to me.
Meaning me a beast.
If the scorn of your bright eye have power to raise such love in mine, and lack in me with strange effect, would they work in mild aspects, Whiles you chid me I did love, how then might your prayers move?
Call you this chiding?
Wilt thou love such a woman? What, to make thee an instrument and play false strains upon thee? Not to be endured. Well, go your way to her, for I see love hath made thee a tame snake. And say this to her, that if she love me, I charge her to love thee. If she will not, I will never have her unless thou entreat for her. If you a true lover, hence and not a word.
He that brings these lines to thee, little knows this love in me, and by him seal up thy mind, whether that thy youth and kind will the faithful offer take of me and all that I can make, or else by him my love deny, and then I'll study how to die.
Oh, alas, poor shepherd.
Do you pity him? No, he deserves no pity. Here comes more company.
Good morrow, fair ones. Pray you if you know where in the purlieus of this forest stands a sheepcote fenced about with olive trees?
West of this place, down in the neighbour bottom, the ranks of osiers by the murmuring stream. Left on your right hand brings you to the place, but at this hour the house doth keep itself, there is none within.
Should an eye may profit by a tongue, then should I know you by description. Such garments and such ears. The boy is fair of female favour, and bestows himself like a ripe sister. And the woman, low and browner than her brother. Are not you the owner of the house I did inquire for?
It is no boast, being asked to say we are.
Orlando doth commend him to you both, and to that youth he calls his Rosalind, he sends this bloody napkin. Are you he?
I am. What must we understand by this?
Some of my shame, if you will know of me. What man I am, and how and where and why this handkerchief was stained.
I pray you tell it.
When last the young Orlando parted from you, he left with a promise to return again within an hour, and pacing through the forest, lo what befell, he threw his eye aside, and mark what object did present itself, under an oak, whose boughs were mossed with age. A wretched, ragged man, overgrown with hair, lay sleeping on his back. About his neck, a green and gilded snake had wreathed itself, who with her head, nimble in threats, did approach the opening of his mouth. But suddenly, seeing Orlando, it unlinked itself, and with indented glides did slip away into a bush, under which bush's shade, a lioness, with udders all drawn dry, lay couching head on ground, with cat-like watch, which in the sleeping man did stir, for 'tis the royal disposition of that beast, to prey on nothing that doth seem as dead. Seeing this, Orlando did approach the man, and found it was his brother, his elder brother.
Oh, I've heard him speak of that same brother, and he did render him the most unnatural that lived amongst men.
And well he might so do, for well I know he was unnatural.
But to Orlando, did he leave him there? Food to the sucked and hungry lioness.
Twice did he turn his back on purpose so, but kindness, nobler ever than revenge, and nature, stronger than his just occasion, made him give battle to the lioness, who quickly fell before him, in which hurtling from miserable slumber, I awaked.
Are you his brother?
Was you he rescued?
Was you that did so oft contrive to kill him?
'Twas I, but 'tis not I. I do not shame to tell you of what I was, since my conversion so sweetly tastes, being the thing I am.
But for the bloody napkin.
By and by, when from the first to last betwixt us two, tears our countenance had most kindly bathed, as to how I came into that desert place. In brief, he led me to the gentle Duke, who gave me fresh rein entertainment, committing me unto my brother's love, who led me instantly unto his cave. There stripped himself, and here, upon his arm, the lioness had torn some flesh away, which all the while had bled. And now he fainted, and cried in fainting upon Rosalind. Brief, I recovered him, bound up his wound, and after some small space, being strong at heart, he sent me hither, stranger as I am, to tell this story, so that you may excuse his broken promise, and to give this napkin dyed in his blood unto the shepherd youth that he in sport doth call his Rosalind.
Oh, how now? Ganymede! Sweet Ganymede!
Many will soon when they do look on blood.
There's more in it. Cousin! Oh, Ganymede!
Look, he recovers.
I would I were at home.
We'll lead you thither.
Be of good cheer, youth. You a man You lack a man's heart.
I do so, I confess it. Ah, Sarah, a body would think this was well counterfeited. I pray you tell your brother how well I counterfeited. Hi-ho.
This was not counterfeit. There is too great a testimony in your complexion that it was a passion of earnest.
Counterfeit, I assure you.
Well then, take a good heart and counterfeit to be a man.
So I do, but if faith, I should have been a woman by right.
Come, you look paler and paler. Pray you, draw homewards. Good sir, will you go with us?
That will I, for I must answer back how you excuse my brother, Rosalind.
I shall devise something, but I pray you commend my counterfeiting to him. Will you go?
We shall find a time, Audrey. Patience, gentle Audrey. Faith, the priest was good enough for all the old gentlemen saying, most wicked Sir Oliver Audrey, most vile Martex. But, Audrey, there is a youth here in the forest lays claim to you. I know who 'tis. He hath no interest in me in the world. Here comes the man you mean. It is me and drink to me to see a clown. We that have good wits have much to answer for. We shall be floated, we cannot hold.
Good evening, Audrey.
God, good evening, William.
And good evening to you, sir.
Good evening, gentle friend. Cover thy head. Cover thy head. Nay, pretty be covered. How old are you, friend?
25, sir.
All right, Badge. Is thy name William?
William, sir.
A fair name. Was born in the forest here?
Aye, sir, I thank God.
Thank God. A good answer. Art rich?
Faith, sir, so-so.
So-so is good. Very good. Very excellent good. And yet, it is not. It is but so-so. Art wise?
Aye, sir, I have a pretty wit.
Thou sayest well. I do now remember a saying. The fool that thinks he is wise, but the wise man knows himself to be a fool. You do love this maid.
I do, sir.
Give me your hand. Art thou learned?
No, sir.
Then learn this of me. To have is to have, for there's a figure in rhetoric that drink being poured from a cup into a glass by filling the one that empty the other. For all your writers do consent that Ips is he. Now, you are not Ips, for I am he.
Which he, sir?
He saw that must marry this woman. Therefore, you clown, abandon which is in the vulgar, leave the society which in the common is company of this female, which in the boorish is woman, which together is abandon the society of this female, or clown, thou perishest. Or to die better understanding, diest, or to wit, I kill thee, make thee away, translate thy life into death, thy liberty into bondage. I will deal in poison with thee, or in bastinado, or in steel. I will bandy with thee in faction. I will o'errun thee with policy. I will kill thee 150 ways. Therefore tremble and depart. Do, good William.
God rest you merry, sir.
Is't possible that on so little acquaintance you should like her, that but seeing you should love her, and loving woo, and wooing she should grant, and will you persever to enjoy her?
Neither call the giddiness of it in question, the poverty of her, the small acquaintance, my sudden wooing, nor her sudden consenting. Say with me, I love Aliena. Say with her that she loves me. Consent with both that we may enjoy each other. It shall be to your good, From my father's house and all that was old Sir Rowland's will I estate upon you, and here live and die a shepherd.
You have my consent. Let the wedding be tomorrow. Thither will I invite the Duke and all his contented followers. Go you and prepare Aliena, for look you, here comes my Rosalind.
God save you, brother.
And you, fair sister.
Oh, my dear Orlando, how it grieves me to see thee wear thy heart in a scarf.
It is my arm.
I thought thy heart had been wounded with the claws of a lion.
Wounded it is, but with the eyes of a lady.
Did your brother tell you how I counterfeited to swoon when he showed me your handkerchief?
Aye, and greater wonders than that.
Oh, I know where you are. Nay, 'tis true, for your brother and my sister no sooner met but they looked. No sooner looked but they loved. No sooner loved but they sighed. No sooner sighed but they asked one another the reason. No sooner knew the reason but they sought the remedy. And in these degrees have they made a pair of stairs to marriage, which they will climb incontinent, or else be incontinent before marriage. They are in the very wrath of love, and they will together. Clubs cannot part them.
They shall be married tomorrow, and I will bid the Duke to the nuptial. But, oh, how bitter a thing it is to look into happiness through another man's eyes. By so much more tomorrow shall I be at the height of heart heaviness, by how much I shall think my brother happy in having what he wishes for.
Why then, tomorrow I cannot serve your turn for Rosalind.
I can live no longer by thinking.
I will weary you then no longer with idle talking. Know of me, then, for now I speak to some purpose, that I know you are a gentleman of good conceit. I speak not this that you should bear a good opinion of my knowledge, insomuch I say I know you are. Neither do I labour for a greater esteem than may in some little measure draw a belief from you, to do yourself good and not to grace me. Believe then, if you please, that I can do strange things. I have, since I was 3-year-old, conversed with a magician most profound in his art and yet not damnable. If you do love Rosalind so near the heart as your gesture cries it out, when your brother marries Aliena, shall you marry her? I know into what straits of fortune she is driven, and it is not impossible to me, if it appear not inconvenient to you, to set her before your eyes tomorrow, human as she is, and without any danger.
Speak'st thou in sober meanings?
By my life I do, which I tender dearly, though I say I am a magician. Therefore, put you in your best array, bid your friends, for if you will be married tomorrow, you shall, and to Rosalind if you will. Look, here comes a lover of mine, and a lover of hers.
Youth, you have done me much ungentleness to show the message that I sent to you.
I care not if I have. It is my study to seem despiteful and ungentle to you. You are there followed by a faithful shepherd. Look upon him, love him, he worships you.
Good shepherd, tell this youth what 'tis to love.
It is to be all made of sighs and tears. And so am I for Phoebe.
And I for Ganymede.
And I for Rosalind.
And I for no woman.
It is to be all made of faith and service. And so am I for Phoebe.
And I for Ganymede.
And I for Rosalind.
And I for no woman.
It is to be all made of fantasy, all made of passion and all made of wishes, all adoration, duty and observance, all humbleness, all patience and impatience, all purity, all trial, all obedience. And so am I for Phoebe.
And so am I for Ganymede.
And so am I for Rosalind.
And so am I for no woman.
If this be so, why blame you me to love you?
If this be so, why blame you me to love you?
If this be so, why blame you me to love you?
Who do you speak to? Why blame you me to love you?
To her that is not here, nor doth not hear.
Pray you no more of this. 'Tis like the howling of Irish wolves against the moon. I will help you if I can. I would love you if I could. Tomorrow meet me all together. I will marry you if ever I marry woman, and I'll be married tomorrow. I will satisfy you if ever I satisfied man, and you shall be married tomorrow. I will content you if what pleases you contents you, and you shall be married tomorrow. As you love Rosalind, meet. As you love Phoebe, meet. And as I love no woman, I'll meet. So, fare you well. I have left you commands.
I'll not fail if I live.
Nor I.
Nor I.
Tomorrow is the joyful day, Audrey.
tomorrow we will be married. I do desire it with all my heart, and I hope it is no dishonest desire to be a woman of the world. Here comes one of the Banished pages!
Well met, honest gentleman.
By my trot, well met. Come, sit, and a song.
I am for you. Sit in the middle. Shall we clap into it roundly, without hawking or spitting or saying we are a horse, which are only the prologues to a bad voice?
If fate, and both in tune like two gypsies on a horse.
It was a lover and his lass with a hey,
hey,
and a ho,
ho,
and a hey nonny no,
hey nonny no,
that o'er the green cornfield did pass in the springtime, the only pretty ring time, when the birds do sing, a ding a ding a ding, sweet lovers love the spring.
Between the acres of the rye, with a hey,
hey,
and a ho,
ho,
and a hey nonny no,
hey nonny no,
these pretty country folks would lie. In the springtime, the only pretty ring time, when the birds do sing, hey ding a ding a ding, sweet lovers love the spring.
This carol they began that hour, with a hey,
hey,
and a ho,
ho,
and a hey nonny no,
hey nonny no,
how that a life was but a flower.
In the springtime, the only pretty ring time, when the birds do sing, hey ding a ding, sweet lovers love the spring. And therefore take the present time with a hey, and a ho, and a hey nonny no, for love is crowned with the prime. In the springtime, the only pretty ring time, when the birds do sing, hey ding a ding, sweet lovers love the spring. Truly, young gentlemen, though there was no great matter in the ditty, yet the note was very untunable.
You are deceived, sir. I kept our time. I lost not our time.
By my troth, yes, I counted, but time lost. There here's such a foolish song. God be with you, and God mend your voices. Come, Audrey.
Dost thou believe, Orlando, that the boy can do all this that he hath promised?
I sometimes do believe and sometimes do not, as those that fear to hope and know to fear.
Patience once more while our compact is urged. You say, if I bring in your Rosalind, you will bestow her on Orlando here.
That would I, had I kingdoms to give with her.
And you say you will have her when I bring her.
That would I, were I of all kingdoms king.
You say, you'll marry me if I be willing.
That will I, should I die the hour after.
But if you do refuse to marry me, you'll give yourself to this most faithful shepherd.
So is the bargain.
You say that you'll have Phoebe if she will.
Though to have her and death were both one thing.
I have promised to make all this matter even. Keep you your word, O Jew, to give your daughter. You yours, Orlando, to receive his daughter. Keep you your word, Phoebe, that you'll marry me, or else refusing me to wed this shepherd. Keep you your word, Silvius, that you'll marry her if she refuses me, and from hence I go to make these doubts all even.
I do remember in this shepherd boy some lively touches of my daughter's favour.
My lord, the first time that I ever saw him, methought he was a brother to your daughter, but my good lord, this boy is forest born, and hath been tutored in the rudiments of many desperate studies by his uncle, whom he reports to be a great magician, obscured in the circle of this forest.
There's surely another flood toward, and these couples are coming to the ark. Here comes a pair of very strange beasts, which in all tongues are called fools.
Salutations and greetings to you all.
Good my lord, bid him welcome. This is a motley-minded gentleman I'd so often met in the forest. He hath been a courtier, he swears.
If any man doubt that, let him put me to my purgation. I have trod a measure. I have flattered a lady. I have been politic with my friend and smooth with mine enemy. I have undone 3 tailors, had 4 quarrels, and like to have fought 1.
And how was that ta'en up?
Fate, we met and found the quarrel was upon the 7th cause.
7th cause? Good my lord, like this fellow?
I like him very well.
God ild you, sir, I desire you of the like. I present here, sir, amongst the rest of the country copulatives, to swear and to forswear according as marriage binds and blood breaks. A poor virgin, sir, an ill-favoured thing. But mine own, a poor humour of mine, sir, to take that no man else will. Rich honesty dwells like a miser, sir, in a poor house, like your pearl in your foul oyster.
By my faith, he is very swift and sententious.
According to the fool's bolt, sir, and such dulcet diseases.
But for the 7th cause, how did you find the quarrel on the 7th cause?
Upon a lie 7 times removed. Bear your body more seemingly, Audrey. As does so, I did dislike the cut of a certain courtier's beard. He sent me word if I said his beard was not well cut, he was in the mind it was. This is called the retort courteous. If I sent him word again it was not well cut, he would send me word he cut it to please himself. This is called the quip modest. If again it was not well cut, he disabled my judgment. This is called the reply churlish. If again it was not well cut, he would say, I spake not true. This is called the reproof valiant. If again it was not well cut, he would say, I lie. This is called the counter check quarrelsome. And so on to the lie circumstantial and the lie direct.
And how oft did you say his beard was not well cut?
I durst go no further in the lie circumstantial, nor he durst not give me the lie direct. And so we measured swords and parted.
Can you nominate in order now the degrees of the lie?
Oh, sir, we quarrelled in print by the book, as you have books for good manners.
Is this not a rare fellow, my lord? He's good at anything and yet a fool.
He uses his folly like a stalking horse, and under the presentation of that he shoots his wit.
Then is there mirth in heaven, when earthly things made even atone together. Good Duke, receive thy daughter. Hymen from heaven brought her, yea, brought her hither, that thou mightst join her hand with his, whose heart within his bosom is.
To you I give myself, for I am yours. To you I give myself, for I am yours.
If there be truth in sight, you are my daughter.
If there be truth in sight, you are my Rosalind.
If sight and shape be true, why then, my loved you?
I'll have no father if you be not he. I'll have no husband if you be not he. Nor ne'er wed woman if you be not she.
Peace! Ho! I bar confusion. 'Tis I must make conclusion of these most strange events. Here's 8 that must take hands to join in Hymen's bands. You and you, no cross shall part. You and you are heart in heart. You to his love must accord, or have a woman to your lord. You and you are sure together, as the winter to foul weather. Whiles a wedlock hymn we sing, feed yourselves with questioning, that reason wonder may diminish, how thus we met, and these things finish.
O niece, welcome thou art to me. Even daughter, welcome in no less degree.
I will not eat my word now thou art mine. Thy fate my fancy to thee doth combine.
Let me have audience for a word or two. I am the second son of old Sir Roland that bring these tidings to this fair assembly. Duke Frederick, hearing how that every day men of great power resorted to this forest, addressed a mighty power which were on foot in his own conduct purposely to take his brother here and put him to the sword. And to the skirts of this wild wood he came, where, meeting with an old religious man, after some question with him was converted, both from his enterprise and from the world, his crown bequeathing to his banished brother, and all their lands restored to them again that were with him exiled. This to be true, I do engage my life.
Welcome, young man. Thou offerest fairly to thy brother's wedding. To one his lands withheld, and to the other a land itself at large, a potent jutum. First in this forest let us do those ends that here were well begun and well begot. And after, every of this happy number that has endured shrewd days and nights with us, shall share in the good of our returned fortune, according to the measure of their states. Meantime, let us forget this new fall in dignity, and fall into our rustic revelry. Play music, and brides and bridegrooms all, with measures heaped in joy, to the measures fall.
Sir, by your patience, if I heard you rightly, the Duke hath thrown into neglect the pompous court.
He hath.
To him will I, out of these convertites. There is much matter to be heard and learnt. You to your former honour I bequeath. Your patience and virtue well deserves it. You to a love that your true faith doth merit. You to your land love and great allies. You to wrangling for thy loving voyage is but for 2 months victualled. So to your pleasures, I am for other than for dancing measures.
Stay, Jaquise, stay.
To see no pastime I. What you'll have I'll stay to know at your abandoned cave.
Proceed, proceed. We'll begin these rites, as we do trust they'll end, in true delights.
It is not the fashion to see the lady, the epilogue, but it is no more unhandsome than to see the lord, the prologue. If it be true that good wine needs no bush, 'tis true that a good play needs no epilogue. Yet to good wine they do use good bushes, and good plays prove the better by the help of good epilogues. What a case am I in then, that am neither a good epilogue, nor can insinuate with you in the behalf of a good play? I am not furnished like a beggar, therefore to beg will not become me. My way is to conjure you, and I'll begin with the women. I charge you, O women, for the love you bear to men, to like as much of this play as please you. And I charge you, O men, for the love you bear to women, as I perceive by your simpering none of you hates them, that between you and the women the play may please. If I were a woman, I would kiss as many of you as had beards that pleased me, complexions that like me, and breadths that I defied not. And I am sure as many as have good beards, or good faces, or sweet breaths, will for my kind offer, when I make curtsy, bid me farewell.